Fight fans, welcome back to Carlo Prusa MMA. Today, I am joined with one of Canada's top middleweight prospects. He is Mr. Julien Leblanc. He got the phone call. He's going to be making his UFC debut April 18th. He's taking on tough alum Robert Valentin. Julien, what's up, my friend? How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And you, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you so much for coming on here. So, some exciting news. Let's get right into it. Where were you when you got this phone call that you were going to be signed to the UFC?
So I was actually in Europe. I was training with the PFL middleweight champion Costello Van Steenis. He's a good friend of mine, and since he's fighting Fabian Edwards this Friday, who's a southpaw, he asked me to go and finish up part of his camp. I wish I could have stayed longer, but I had to come back because I had a lot of things to do for the UFC, right? But anyways, man, it was great. It was great being with him. And yeah, man, I just arrived the first day. I arrived in Holland, and so I got the phone call from my manager. I was actually jet lagged. It was like 12, I think 12:40 a.m. There. So I was like just looking at the ceiling, not able to sleep. And my manager calls me, and he told me the good news. So I was pretty pumped. I can tell you I didn't sleep at all, like all night. I was too excited, but man, it was all worth it because it's a dream come true, and all the efforts, that paid off. So really happy.
So many people are watching martial arts in this day and age. Very few, though, understand the life of a fighter. When you're battling it out on the regional scene, you're not making Conor McGregor or GSP money. You're waking up early. You're staying up late. It's hard to have kids. It's hard to have a wife. People have all these different side jobs. Maybe for the chance, maybe to fight in one of the big promotions. You're one of the lucky few who get to do it now, but what's made you stick through all these years, all the sacrifices, all the whole roller coaster ride? What's made you stick through it?
I think honestly, like self-belief, I always knew that I had what it takes to be in the UFC. It was always, like I said, my dream. I was always realistic. Like what I mean by that is like being a UFC fighter didn't define me, but for sure, like man, it adds a lot to the name. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's the dream come true. So it's everything I've worked for. But what got me there, man? For sure, self belief, hard work, and like having good people around me. Like not listening too much to the outside noise. Like a lot of people would say, like, oh, you should stop, blah blah. Even last summer, man, I had some people close to me was like they were like, oh, you're never gonna make it, blah blah. But man, at the end of the day, my wife, she has always been supportive of me and my parents, my coaches, of course. They always believe in me, my manager. So they were like, man, Julian, you still got a shot. We know it. So believe in yourself, and if you want to do it, man, you're gonna make it. So I'm happy. I listened to them. I listened to myself, and I stick to the plan. And now we're here. So I'm planning on making the most of it for sure.
You really have been doing this for a long time. Your topology for amateur contests date back since 2011. And people who have watched the sport in the last 5, 6 years or so, they don't understand, man. 15, 20 years ago, people was calling MMA human cockfighting. It wasn't legal in every province. It wasn't legal in every state. I can only imagine, what was it like in Canada? At that time, Quebec was a big scene with it. GSP was starting to make his name. Rory McDonald. You had the guys from Ontario. But what was it like locally trying to find fights when you first got into it?
It was well. So at the beginning, amateur, we were lucky because we had like a hybrid. Was like a amateur promotion here in Gatineau, where I'm from. So like it was like for us back then, it was like not like the UFC, but I mean it was big, for the small town we were in, and we were not like there was not 15,000 gyms. I think we were like 2, 3 gyms that were doing MMA. So it's like everyone, you're in your early 20s, like late tens, like 18, 19 years old. You start going out with people, and you all see each other in bars or things like that, and then it's like everyone is like, oh, my gym is the best. But at the end of the day, we had the chance to always like showcase ourselves and compete against each other, like at these events. So we were lucky for like I'd say I think a good 3 years. There was those amateur events called hybrid. And then when I actually won like the middleweight amateur championship, they decided to the promotion decided to go pro. So they stopped doing the amateur events, and they decided to go pro, and that's when it started to get a little bit slower because amateur, they don't have like the commission to deal with and all that things, right? It's not as expensive to do a show. So for sure here in Canada, Quebec, it was for a point really hard to get professional shows, especially back to back. Maybe they were like one show a year, and if all the guys in Quebec wants to fight there, then it's like uh, it's hard to put them all on. You know what I mean? So a lot of fees, a lot of dealing with the commission. Like you said, it was seen like cockfighting, human cockfighting. So it was like it was really hard, man. And I felt like I got a lot of inactivity because of this. There was a lot of guys pulling out, the classic Instagram, Facebook fighter who wants to fight, and then when it's time to show up, doesn't show up to the weigh-ins or gets injured the week before, things like that. So it all happened to me, and fortunately, man, like I said, I had a good team behind me. We stick to the plan. We were able to go fight a little bit elsewhere too, Alberta, US, yeah, and just man get the matchups when we could, and then there was like the TKO days. I think you remember the TKO days. That was good, man. I think it lasted like for 3 years. So they were doing a lot of shows, but then once again, TKO unfortunately had to shut down, and we were in the same. Oh, and COVID happened, right? So a lot of things, man. I feel like when we turned pro, it was hard, man. It was hard, and now, since the couple last years, since 2023, there was a good promotion called Samurai MMA. There was also Unified MMA. I fought for both, but I feel like they gave me a good stage to showcase my skills, sell a lot of tickets, and really rejuvenate my career. Like just like start a new page, and here I am right now. So I'm really grateful for, like I said, all these people, my team, and the promotion that let me fight on their shows and got me active in the last 3 years, because I think I fought 5 times in the last 3 years, so that's still pretty good. So if you look at my topology, man, I was, I think, fighting not even once a year back then, so it was good to be active finally, and now I feel like I got what I deserve.
In the early days, did you ever get to fight like at kind of weird places like bars, barns, outdoors? Do you have any crazy stories from the old days?
So amateurs, yeah, amateur, yes. I actually started my like so it didn't count on topology as amateur, but it was like amateur, same rules. It was like an enter fight night school, because I come from Patnaud Martial Arts, and back then we used to have, I think, like 27 franchise throughout Canada. So the coaches were doing like from all the schools were doing like fight nights, school against schools, right? So you were match against another guy from your weight and everything, and you had your little weigh-in, and I mean it was the same as amateur. So I did my three first fight there before actually going to amateur. I did my first one at 18 years old, so probably like in 2010, and it was like an arena, but in the bar of the arena, so like a high arena of a high ice hockey, but it was actually like in the backstage, like in the little bar. So it was like kind of just like fun, to fight there, like just crazy, but the vibe was nice. The vibe was really cool. Also, another place I fought that was like funny was in Oklahoma. It was I don't remember which city, but anyways, it was in like it's probably, I think, where Brad Pitt comes from, because my boy Tuco googled it out. But anyways, I have to remember. But I fought in 2021, and it was like in a casino. But it was like a casino in the middle of nowhere. Only like truckers would go there. I think it was probably on an Indian reservation, right? So it was just funny because it was like nothing around, man, and just like the casino, everyone's smoking inside, and we were just fighting them, and like the small venue that was there, it was for LFA. That was a nice experience too. If not like for sure, the Toronto Rebel was in a bar, but it's nice. It's a nice bar, like it's not a sketchy bar. It's a nice bar. But at the Rebel, I feel like the it was very cool, and like ambience. You know what I mean? Like the vibe was amazing, and because it's small and everyone is like around, so it's like a little like it's like a and the gladiator time, right? So that was cool experience. And for sure, also like with Samurai, on a nicer note, if I can say, I got the chance to fight. Like they came to Slush Puppy Center, so it's in my hometown, and it's for the hockey junior hockey major league, but it's probably like a 4 or 5 thousand arena. So it's not UFC big like UFC, but it's close to this. So that was and we sold like really, we almost sold it out. So that was a nice vibe and a nice feeling to like before the UFC, because that was a huge event. So I got to experience a little bit of everything, but now for sure at the UFC it will be different with like 10,000, 18,000. I don't remember how big is the Winnipeg Jets arena, but it's going to be crazy for sure.
When I grew up watching, obviously, the Canadian scene at that time, you had GSPs, you had Rory McDonald, you had John McDessie, you had guys from Ontario, Chris Clement, Sam Stout, you got Jesse Ronson, you got Olivia Alban-Mercier, Francis Carmon, all those. For you, what do those guys mean for you? Did you look at them as inspirations, those guys 10, 15 years ago, going to the show, doing the thing?
Yeah, for sure. Like I was actually training a lot with Patrick Cote and Steve Bussey. So I started, I think it was like 20, 21-year-old. I messaged like Patrick Cote's team and to see if I could like come. Well, actually, I was supposed to fight a guy named Francis Charbonneau. Then I got injured to my knee. So I got surgery and everything. And after he got another fight book and everything. And we were speaking and we were like, I was polite with him and he was a super nice guy too. So anyways, we were speaking like, well, since we're not fighting, like, can I come and spar with you guys? Because back then I didn't have a lot of big guys at my gym. So I started to go there. I went one time actually and spar with him with another guy, Stranya Gavrilovic. You remember Stranya? Unfortunately, he's passed today. But anyways, I went to spar with those guys. And then Francis Charbonneau was a good friend of Pat Cote. He was like, hey, Pat is fighting Southpaw. I'm gonna ask him if you wanna, if he wants you to come, like to train. So for sure, Pat said yes. So I went there the next Saturday and started training with them. And I was doing so it was 3 hours from my house. So 3 hours every Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday to go wrestle with them. 3 hours back, and then the Saturdays was sparring. So 3 hours back. So I did this for probably like 6, 7 years straight. Then when Pat Cote and Steve Bussey decided to like retire, well, the team a little bit like when everyone went his way, right? So I started to go to TriStar, and that's where like I met like all the guys like that you just talked about. But for sure, I've been looking to those guys. Like Pat Cote helped me a lot, man. Like he helped me a lot, especially with wrestling, because I was not like doing like the little like not the little, but I mean the little details, like the wall drill, all those things. So I was not doing it back home, right? So it was all new to me. So he helped me a lot with this, and then I brought this back to my gym, and then we started doing it a lot. So yes, I was looking a lot like to those guys, and it's gonna be fun because Pat called me, not called me, but text me and talked to me when I got signed, and he's like, I cannot wait to call your fight, because he's the commentator on the French TV, right? So it's gonna be great, man. Full life circle. So I'm pretty happy that I had the chance to grow up with those guys for sure.
So you get to make your debut in Canada, in Winnipeg. Through time, there's been some really big UFC fights in Canada, and I think especially in the early days. So, Quebec's always had them. George St. Pierre's defended the title there. To me, I think a big one that always remembers the first time they came to Toronto, UFC 129, Rogers Center, 50,000 plus people. First time they did that, sold out the place.
Yeah.
For you, do you remember any of those events back in the day? You were maybe there watching it, just being like, hey, this is going to be me one day, somehow, some way, I'm going to be here.
Yeah, like the two first, well, they only came 2 times to Ottawa, but the 2 events they came to Ottawa was there. Pat Cote was fighting on the first one, and then my good friend Marc-André Barrio was making his debut on the second one. And for sure, man, I was like, one day I'm going to be there. And the event was rumored to be not in Winnipeg, but in Ottawa, right? So it was crazy. But anyways, I'm in the UFC, bro, so I could fight anywhere in the world. I don't mind at all. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, I always was like, I'm gonna be there one day too. And even when I went to the Bell Center in last May, it was electric. Like the energy in the Bell Center, man, it was electric. I've never seen this, so it was crazy, man. And I was just like, yeah, for sure, one day I want to be there. And turns out that this one day happened like sooner than I thought, or maybe not say sooner because I know I'm not young, but I mean it happened faster than I would like ever imagine because like not even 1 year later than the Bell Center was in May. Not even 1 year later, I'll make my debut. So I'm pretty stoked about it.
Absolutely. Your career, you've had some great fights. I think the one that sticks out the most for me is the one in March last year. Darian Weeks, former UFC guy. Looking back at it, man, how important was that victory for your career?
Very important. I think I was a little bit stressed because I knew how much this victory was important. So I started the fight a little bit slow, but once I got my timing and I started like really like defending good, staying down, and then I got my timing on the striking. Everything I was throwing was landed. It was just to get my timing and that knee. I wish he would have went completely out on that knee, but for sure I left him something to think about me for all his life because he was open so bad. And like I said, I wish that the fight would have continued so I could have finished him like for real 100%. But like it was like he had a lot of damage in his face, and I had zero damage after the 3 rounds we did, and it was a 5 round. So regardless, I know that I would have finished him in the fourth or five for sure. But it was craziest win of my career. For the belt also. So first professional belt in my life. So yeah, I'm really happy about this win. And I knew, man, it was the most important fight for sure because a win against this guy can put you for sure there. So especially like finishing him, right? So that's what I was looking for, 100%.
So you're getting ready, taking on Robert Valentin here in Winnipeg. Overall, what do you think of him as an opponent?
He's good, man. Honestly, he's good. I was actually cut from this season that he ended up in final. So I was cut one of like just before flying out to Vegas. So I watched the season. My good friend Tommy Teo, they took him, and I'm super happy for him. But anyways, I've watched him. I've watched the season, and I felt like Rob was cool. Like on the TV, his charisma, everything. So I've actually watched like his fights after, because I wanted to see him fight after the show. So, and I didn't knew I was gonna end up fighting him. So it's pretty cool, man. I think he's well-rounded fighter. He's a dangerous fighter. For sure, his 3 fights in the UFC are against really good opponents. So I think he's coming with the knife in his teeth. He's coming with everything he's got, and I know he's training at Extreme Couture. It's a very good team. So a lot of respect for Rob, but I'm coming to fight him and I'm coming to win.
Is it pretty cool that you get to make the debut in Canada in front of a place that would be 25,000 screaming crazy fans?
Yeah. Okay. So I said 10, 18 now. Okay. So 20, 25, that's crazy, man. And it's going to be amazing for sure. It's going to be amazing. And I have a couple of friends, family that already booked all their tickets, plane tickets, hotels. So it's going to be an amazing night. And like I said, I'm working hard, man. I'm planning on making a statement in my UFC debut, but I'm pretty pumped. It's in Canada in front of my hometown crowd, not hometown, but I mean home crowd, if I can say it, because I'm Canadian. So yeah, pretty pumped about it.
When this one got announced, I got really excited. You're a lot of fun to watch. You're becoming a very well-rounded mixed martial artist, but you know how to throw those hands. He's made a living over throwing hands and knocking people out as well. You put both of you in the same cage. I think absolute fireworks are about to erupt here. Could you see this one being an absolute dogfight or someone getting finished?
Oh, for sure, man. I think I think, man, it can 100% be fight of the night. Like I said, man, I'm a technical fighter, but I'm not scared to go in the fire, man. And I'm ready for everything that it will bring. And I know that, like I said, I know this guy is a dog too, so I know he's gonna be ready. So I'm looking for it, man. Fireworks for sure.
Another new thing this year is now if you get a performance of the fight bonus, if you get a fight of the night, performance of the night, it's $100,000. Has that been going through the head?
For sure, man. Like my son just turned 6 last week, and my girlfriend is pregnant with her second son. So I need that money for my family, man. So that's an extra motivation, that's for sure.
You know, so many fans are watching this sport. And I think for the most part, the casual fans understand that you guys are trying to get fights, get bigger fights, win belts, all this stuff. But very few people understand the fight outside of the fight. And to me, that's that fight not to clock in at 9 o'clock in the morning, clock out at 5 p.m. in the afternoon. That's that fight to live life by your terms, not follow societal norms, secure financial freedom, and live the life that you want. Has that been a big part of your journey?
Yeah, 100%. Like I've thought about it a couple of times, to stop back then. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not gonna be happy. I know, I love this life and I would not change it for nothing. So, but like you said, you got to be smart, right? Even when you win like those bonuses and everything, you got to be smart. Money goes away really fast, but I mean, if you're good at it, you can make a lot of it too. So just gotta be smart. But that way of life is the best, man. I love it, and I'm pretty pumped to be living it. Especially right now that I'm finally a UFC fighter. It's incredible, that's for sure.
You know, one thing I love about martial arts is the values, the disciplines, it's the lessons that you learn when you compete in it. I've had so many guys on this show tell me when they first started, they're going down a bad road. They weren't the person they are. MMA provided guidance, structure, turned them the fathers, the husbands they are today. For you, how have you grown and evolved from being in combat sports?
Oh man, it changed my life, because it goes back when I was 16 years old. I was like not a guy who was really in shape, zero confidence in myself. I was like my nickname was the asparagus. So I was like a tall, like a slim guy, but I actually couldn't do a push up at 16 years old. I was really like just I don't know how to say it, but I was just not a man. I was really a boy. And martial arts, man, it made me become a man. And the confidence that it gave me, just not in the fighting, but like in everything in life. It changed all the aspects of my life, and I will be forever grateful for it. So yeah, man, martial arts change lives. I see it every day, still at the gym, regardless how old you are. I think that martial arts can change your life, especially man if you have like hard time between the 2 years. I think it's very good, man. It's very good for your self esteem and like I said, self confidence, self love. Because your body will change, your way of thinking will change. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they think they can fight until they come to the gym and they see, oh shit, okay, I can't fight, for shit. So it's like it humbles you a little bit at the same time, right? But for sure, man, martial art changed my life, and they continue to change it every day because when I have a bad day or whatever, I go to the gym, I spar, I train, and then I come back and just come out of the gym and everything is gone. Everything is all good, and it's just yeah. I think it's amazing. So I recommend it to anyone, man. Anyone.
What do you want your kids to take away from this journey?
Just hard work. When you believe in yourself, you work hard, you put in the effort, the sacrifice, you can achieve your dreams. Because like I said, man, I'm a hard worker and I think that's a big part of my story. I never stopped believing in myself, never let go of my dream. And I didn't listen to the outside noise. You gotta be realistic, like I said, and like if you get knocked out 10 times in a row, like okay, maybe it's time to stop. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is that when you know you can do it and things are doing well, even though there's some darker days, darker months, darker weeks, or darker years, whatever, you just gotta see the light and man, you gotta chase it, bro, and you gotta yeah, man, you gotta work hard for it. You gotta give everything you got, and like you can change your life like this when you work hard. So I think that's the big thing I want my kids to don't never forget and just like take away from it. That yeah, life is hard and nothing comes easy, right? Except if you win the lottery, okay. But this is I don't not even 1% of the population will win the Lotto Max, right? So it's like you gotta work hard, man, for the things you want and when you work hard, you do good things in life. You got to be a good person. Always been a good person, even though I'm a fighter. Yes, I can kick ass of a lot of people, but I've always been an amazing person, and I'm not scared to say it. I'm very a good guy. Give back to the society, be kind with the people, and life will give it back to you. So that's what I want them to remember.
What's it like now being in a position where, you're getting messages on social media from younger fighters, kids, people who want to be in your position? I look up to you. What kind of advice do you have? Younger fighters at the gym looking at you as a role model. What's it like being in that position?
It's great, honestly. I've got a couple people that reach out to me, and I will always like answer. I will always take time to answer, and if it's a serious question, of course. But I mean, I will always take time to answer, and I think that you gotta don't be scared of adversity uh, in the gym and fights. Take the right fights at the right moment, but like don't shy away from challenges because there's one thing that I always say to the young fighters at my gym. You cannot buy experience, right? That doesn't mean to fight like the guy that has 20 more fights than you right away. That's not what I say, but I mean, be active, try to compete, BJJ, striking, MMA, like when you're amateur, try to get as much as experience as you can. And after that, you'll see it will pay because, yeah, like I said, experience, you cannot buy experience. And I think that's like I said, one of the problems, especially in Canada, the fighters are too much inactive. They only compete once a year, and it slows the career down. Yes, it might be good for the brain, for the how can I say, the longevity, but at the same time, like these days, like I'm one of the exceptions, and at the same time, it shows that you can still get signed at 34. But I mean, you see it at Contender Series and all those things. They always say like they're looking for the young guys, and these days the guy starts at 4 or 5 years old. It's same as hockey, the sport is that big now. So you gotta compete. You gotta train hard. And like I said, don't shy away from adversity and face it and just man be a man and you will see later that it will pay for sure, 100%.
Obviously, you've been in the sport for a long time. You know better than anybody. There's a lot more fans now than there was 15 or 20 years ago. And now we have a term called the casual fan. And don't get me wrong, I think every fan is a good fan. We need as much eyeballs we can get. But sometimes we're at the fights, we watch it on TV, we hear someone yell, twist them in the you know what. You read all this crazy stuff. All these people have these takes. What do you make of it? Do you try to have fun with it? Does it tick you off sometimes? How do you take all this?
Those people would never fight. They would never be like game to come to the gym and fight. So I just laugh it. Even if I know like some people will talk shit about me, some will like me. But at the end of the day, internet is one of the greatest invention, but one of the worst at the same time, I think, because it's some people, and once again, 90% of those people, they have a cat, like a picture of a cat as a profile picture. So it's like they just hide behind the screens. That says a lot right there. So unfortunately, like man, at the end of the day, talking and good, talking and bad, but as long as you talk it, it's good. So that's it. But no, I don't let this affect me at all. And for sure not like I think like for sure I will get to live it more now that I'm in the UFC because like I said, I'll get some hate, I'll get some love, but at the end of the day, I don't do it for them. I do it for me, for my family, and that's the important. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Ask this question to all my Canadian fighters. You're going to be fighting in April, yeah, on a Saturday, the same day that the Montreal Canadiens will play. Is it kind of a challenge to try to get some of the other people to not watch the Habs and watch the fights instead?
Probably in Quebec, especially because the abs are big, big, big. But I know a lot of people will tune in for my debut and for the UFC. And at the same time, now with like we just said, with the internet, with their phones, and you can 100% get one thing on the TV, the other thing on your iPad or on your phone. Like you can watch the two of them at the same time. So if you guys don't know what to watch, just watch it at the same time, and everything will be good. You won't miss anything.
Absolutely. All right, Julien, last question for you, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome April 18th when you make your UFC debut against Robert Valentin?
This boom, that's the outcome. Let's go. I cannot wait, man.
Absolutely. Well, Julian, man, thank you so much for taking time out of camp. I know the fight's coming up, but it was an honor to talk to you. I wish you nothing but the best, brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate your time, and thank you for reaching out.
Absolutely. That's it for us today. I'm Carl Perusa. He is Mr. Julien Leblanc. You can watch him making his UFC debut April 18th. He's taking on Robert Valentin in Winnipeg. Fight fans, don't blink. It's going to be a fun one. Take care.